All right. So I was coping really hard and did horrible on picks. But in this video, I'm going to be going over UFC 309, the main card of UFC 309. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I went 1-5 on picks, or 1-4. 1-4. And I went with some underdogs, and they didn't win. All the favorites won, except for one. The one favorite I did pick lost also. So we're going to get into it. I was coping really hard, especially with the main event. But some of them were not that far off, but we'll get into it. So, first, Mauricio Rufy versus James Lontop. So I picked Rufy by first round knockout, and he couldn't get it done. James Lontop actually has an amazing chin when you really think about it. And it started off, Rufy was obviously better, way more power. He's crisp. He is good technique, and he's crazy. He has a lot of crazy looking exotic strikes that he likes to throw. And he has a lot of weird head movement when he defends. Like he spins his head to the side every single time he weaves a punch, and it works really well for him. James Lontop isn't very good, but he has a great chin. Mauricio Rufy won the first round, in my opinion. Just it wasn't anything crazy the first round. It was just him doing a little bit better, hitting him a little bit stronger on the feet, and that was pretty much it. The second round, Rufy really started to kick things off. He rocked him with an uppercut or he rocked him with the right hand first, I think. And he was throwing crazy shit, spinning wheel kicks up Anderson Silva type elbows. And then he threw an uppercut where he looked away like this and nailed Lontop, dropping him. Couldn't finish him. Lontop gets back up. Third round starts, obviously a roofie round. Next round starts, Lontop starts to kind of put a pressure on him, and Rufy starts to kind of crack a little bit. His cardio doesn't hold up as well as I would like it to at this level. Not at this level, but at the level going forward, I want to see a little bit better cardio out of him. Speaking as a not a UFC fighter, of course, but um, he still won that round in my opinion. Oh no, he lost that round. James Lawtop won that round actually. But Rufy still threw hard when he threw. Still caught him with a couple shots that I was like, oh, every single time Rufy threw, I was like, oh, fuck. But Longtop was putting a pressure on him and kind of cracking him. Just pressure, pressure hitting, pretty much. Just kept going forward and kept throwing. And I think it won him the round. And the judges agree. Every judge gave him 29-28 to Rufy. But is that. So we've seen some cracks in Rufy's game, I would say. If you can push him to the third or in main events, fourth and fifth, that is definitely a weak point in his game. Or but also in order to beat Rufy, you have to have a fucking solid chin because this guy hits hard. So I think he beats a lot of the weak chin people up there. But if you can get someone with a solid chin that'll maybe go for a takedown and hold him against the fence for a bit, drag the first two rounds out, make it boring, I think you could see a rough time for Rufy going forward. But I guess we'll see. Maybe he improves. He's a fighting nerd after all. They seem to just get better. So next, Vivian Araujo versus Karine Silva. So I went with Karine Silva. That didn't happen. Vivian, it could have happened actually. The decision wasn't clear, I would say. It was an even fight, pretty much. I gave the first round to Karine. I gave the second to Viviane Araujo. And then the third, I gave to Viviane. I just thought laying on your back. In the third round, Karine Silva was pretty much gassed, going for weird takedowns and falling on her back and laying on the ground. She hit her with a couple punches, but that look, I don't like that look in a fighter. If I'm a judge, I hate that shit. That's annoying to me. You're just laying on your back and just you can't do anything about it. Like it's just a weird look, and I get why they gave her the third. Viviani did a little bit better on the feet than I would have expected, and she did better in the grappling than I would have expected. So she got it done by decision, and Karine Silva just couldn't really get it going as well as she would have liked, and her cardio failed her. And Viviani Araujo, the veteran, gets it done. So good for her. Next, Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. What a boring ass fight, bro. So the hype is killed. Bo Nickel has zero aura. He is done. He is not fun anymore. lame nickel. Nickel lame. So, fight starts. Whole fight, in fact, is how it started pretty much. That was that was that was not how to say that. Bo Nickel and Paul Craig was the same fight the entire way through. It was just a tit for tat striking battle, barely tit for tat. No one threw anything. Bo Nickel hit him with more strikes, 54-48. Holy shit, that was actually really close. I gave, I actually might have, this might have been biased of me, but I think I gave Paul Craig the second round, I think. No one else thought that. Bo Nickel won all three, but it was just like a lame, barely striking. Bo Nickel didn't go for a takedown. He didn't go for anything. Paul Craig has never been good at anything. I went with Paul Craig by submission because I thought Bo Nickel was going to go for a takedown and Paul Craig would catch him, inexperienced Bo Nickel, in some crazy shit like he's done before to many people. But no, Bo Nickel decided to strike in kind of a timid way with him. The crowd was pissed, yelling overrated, and booing. And Bo Nickel decisioned a boring decision against Paul Craig, who only throws body kicks and barely anything else. So it was just weird. It's just a dumb, weird fight. And Bo Nickel lost all of his hype. He can't talk shit anymore. He keeps talking like he's gonna beat Hamzat. You're not beating Hamzat. You're not beating Hamzat Chimaev. Not looking like that. You're not. Not with if you don't have the confidence to take down Paul Craig. If you don't have that confidence or to blitz him and fucking take him out, especially like Bo Nickel rocked him at one point in like the second or third. I think it was the third. Rocked him at one point. Did not go for the finish at all. If that's Chimaev, Paul Craig's out of there in a minute, especially if he gets rocked. Like Bo Nickel is not on the level of these guys, and we found that out tonight. He's overhyped, and give him someone. If he goes up the rankings any more than this, at this point, I like Shara's chances a lot more against Bo Nickel, like a lot more. I think Shara might be able to catch Bo Nickel with some weird shit and take him out of there. I don't trust Bo Nickel's grappling as much as I did, because he doesn't seem to trust it as much as he did, as he should if he wants to beat someone like Chimaev, which he's not gonna ever do. I don't think he goes that far at this point at all. He has a lot of time to get better. He's very young in his career. I get it, but it's just hard to see after that. But yeah, that's how that fight went. Next, co-main event: Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. So surprisingly dull out of these two. I went with Michael Chandler by first round knockout. I thought he was going to be able to catch him. I also said that if Charles wins, he wins clearly, fucking dominates him. He's way better at fighting, and that's what happened. Charles Oliveira is just so much better than Chandler. He said it himself. He's 10 times better than these guys, and he's 10 times better than Chandler. He is so much better than Chandler. The only thing Charles has really weak in his game is really his chin. And it's not like a weakness, but his chin isn't great. And so we'll get to it. First round, Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. Charles hits him a couple times on the feet. Chandler throwing back, not really landing. He seems timid and weird, kind of. He starts it off not like I thought. He wasn't super aggressive. Charles kind of starts to put it on him a little bit, striking-wise, and then they get this weird entanglement on the ground. It's like a 50-50 entanglement with Charles kind of like on top of him, but in a weird leg position. So they just stall out for 3 minutes. That's kind of how the whole fight went. They would strike for 2 minutes, and then 3 minutes of Charles Oliveira just dominating the grappling. There's one other thing about this fight. I thought Chandler was going to have better explosive wrestling out of these situations and stuff, but no, Charles Oliveira muscled him down and would not let him go. His ground game is levels above Chandler's, apparently. So that's interesting to see. I really like that Charles won. It makes a lot of hype going forward. He won in a kind of a weird, boring way, but the whole fight wasn't boring, so it's not bad. So yeah, second round starts. Charles Oliveira starts putting on him again, puts the striking clinic, starts to really rack up some fucking damage. Has Michael Chandler running all over the place, trying to get away from him. He can't get away. Charles is hunting him down. And then at some point he shoots, grabs him, takes him down, gets the back, rides him out the whole round. Next round, third round, pretty much the exact same thing. Strikes him up. Oliveira fucking strikes him up on the feet. Chandler's throwing back, not really landing much. He'll land every once in a while, but Charles will fucking land hard and fast and crisp. Have Chandler on the fence, freaking out, trying to get away, but he can't really get away. Charles is a goddamn predator. And he kept on him, kept fucking throwing, and then would go for a takedown, get his back, hold him down the entire round again. Same for the third, same for the fourth. Exact same thing with the fourth. Strikes him up for the 2 minutes of the first round, or around that much. Charles Oliveira dominating every aspect of this fight for the entirety of the first four. And then the fifth round comes around, and Michael Chandler does the unthinkable. He catches Oliveira, and not the unthinkable. A lot of people thought this could happen. But Chandler catches Oliveira with a shot that rocks him bad. Almost drops him. Charles shoots for a takedown, misses it. Chandler ends up on top. Chandler does the dirtiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Hits Charles Oliveira in the back of the head like 15 times blatantly. The ref does nothing about it. The worst foul one of the worst fouls I've ever seen in my life. No one gave a shit. I don't get that at all. No one even cared. It was unbelievable. Chandler hit him in the back of the head so many times blatantly, and the ref did not do anything. Also, Chandler was holding the gloves. He was holding the cage. He was shooting out eye pokes. Very dirty fight from Michael Chandler. And when Poirier would say that, I was like, oh, Poirier's just being salty. Poirier is kind of a salty fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not super convinced by his nice guy persona. I'm not gonna lie, but I was just like, yeah, he's just salty. Michael Chandler's not that dirty, but no, Michael Chandler's a dirty fucking fighter. And this fight cemented that in my brain clearly. He is dirty. But Charles survives. They stand back up. Charles shoots, gets the back, and he rides it out. Michael Chandler does a funny thing at the end where he stands up and goes, fuck it, and then slams him, and then stands up again, and then slams him. The whole crowd's going crazy. I appreciate that moment. I appreciate fun shit like that. It had me standing and going, oh shit, what the fuck? I like shit like that. I like Chandler for that he brings that. I like it. I don't like him as a personality. I think he's cringe and kind of weird, but stuff like that is what I watch fighting for. The crazy shit that you don't expect. And I like that out of Chandler. But then they kiss at the end. Charles kisses him on the head, and then Charles is super hyped. Apparently Charles had a pretty bad knee injury going in this fight, so that's pretty impressive from him to be able to do what he did against Chandler. He's very fucking good. Very good. I want to see him versus McGregor. I think that's a huge fucking fight. But no more. Chandler doesn't get McGregor anymore. Let's give Charles McGregor. And if Charles beats McGregor clearly, give him Islam off that hype. That's sick. And if McGregor knocks out Oliveira somehow, give McGregor to Islam and have that be a huge fight. That doesn't make any sense for the meme of it all. But I've heard McGregor isn't fighting until the end of 2025, apparently, according to Dana, so I doubt that's going to happen. Next, Jon Jones versus Stipe, the main event. So I went with Stipe Miocic by knockout. I was coping really bad. There's no excuse. I was coping. I did think Stipe would have a shred of what he was, because what he was pretty good at heavyweight. He's the heavyweight GOAT for a reason. Jon Jones is gay, but I'm not gonna. We won't start. Shit, I ruined it. We're not gonna start like that. Fight starts. Jon Jones and Stipe. They both look old. They look very rusty and weird and old, especially Stipe. He's throwing kicks at like zero power at all to the leg. Like right when he threw his first leg kick, I was like, oh fuck, that's over. Like, what is that? And then Jon Jones hit him with a good teep to the body, and I was like, oh, it's over. Like, Jon is actually putting some oomph into the shots. And Stipe just doesn't have anything behind his shots in this whole entire fight. He didn't look like he cared. He looked old. The age was really a factor, and I thought he could maybe pull off like a Glover Teixeira type moment where age doesn't really matter. But he couldn't do it. He was old. Jon Jones looked old and slow too, to be honest. Everybody's saying vintage Jon. I do not see that at all. Jones did not look vintage to me. But he looked a lot better than Stipe. He looked a lot more crisp. He was hitting him with mean kicks. His kicks were quick. I'll give him that. His kicks were very quick. His boxing is not good. It's not great at all. Slow and weird and only good because of his length. But his kicks were very good in this fight. and they were kind of the highlight outside of the first round. So the first round starts Jones jabbing him, keeping him. Stipe can't really do anything. Stipe hits him with some good shots later in the fight, but Jon Jones gets him down in the first with a sick trip. But just the highlight is just Stipe's old, man. But he hits him with a sick trip, does some pretty fucking scary ground and pound with elbows. Had me like wincing the whole time. But that was the first round, dominated by Jones. Second round, Stipe has a very good second round. They kind of trade on the feet the entire round. Jon Jones throwing out kicks. Stipe blitzes every once in a while in his old man blitz and catches Jon Jones with some good shots, actually. Good right hands, some good uppercuts. But they just don't have the sting and pop that Stipe's had in his past, and it was just disappointing to see. But it's hard to be disappointed because that's always what it was going to be. He's old. He's just old, and he's a part-time firefighter, and I love him, but he was never going to be that guy going into this fight. He was never going to be his old self. But I coped pretty bad. But yeah, Stipe does good on the feet in the second, and one judge gave him the round, and I don't hate that pick, actually. He hit him with some good right hands. Jon Jones in this fight, I don't know, I guess he could change it up if he decides to fight Aspinall, but he had a weird way of defending punches where he would pretty much just turn around and run away. That's not going to work against someone that will blitz you and blitz you hard, like Aspinall. This fight, if anything, this fight has shown me clearly that Jon Jones gets smoked by Aspinall. And I understand the take that Jon Jones could take him down and elbow him but if Tom can survive the first round, he is not getting taken down again. Jon Jones went for other takedowns in this fight, couldn't get him on Stipe. Tom Aspinall would mollywop Jon Jones, I think, but we'll get to that. We still got to talk about this fight. Second round, pretty close. I gave it to Jon Jones in the moment, but Stipe won it on one judge scorecard, and it was very close, and it was also like, holy shit, maybe Stipe can do this. Third round starts, another close striking battle until the very end, with Jones looking better, but Stipe having his moments. But then Jon Jones throws a spinning back kick that nails Stipe in his already softened up body from all those teeps, and he was done. Stipe is tough, but he couldn't take that. He crumbled like a motherfucker. And then Jon Jones jumped on him, and then that was it. Jon Jones gets the win by KO due to spinning back kick, which is actually pretty sick highlight. It was very cool to see, like, in that clip. Very cool. Very awesome. Awesome finish. The whole fight, not impressive. But that in itself, cool. And if you don't know the context, super cool. But if you know the context and you watch the whole fight, it's not impressive to me. But he gets it done. KO Stipe. Horribly devastating for me. I was freaking out. I was pissed. Jon Jones gets on the mic. Joe Rogan says, "Who do you want to fight next if you're gonna fight?" Because Jon Jones says, "I'm not gonna retire." And then Joe Rogan says, "Who do you want to fight?" He said, "I want to thank Jesus Christ." And then I just thought, oh, he's ducking. He's instantly ducking. But no, he came back to it. But he had to thank Jesus. He had to thank Trump. He had to do a gay dance. The Trump dance in his hiked up shorts. He looked gay. But that's neither here nor there. Joe Rogan just decided to only bring up Alex Pereira in this entire deal. And it was so annoying. Like, bring up Tom Aspinall first and then Pereira. What the fuck? Stop it. We have an interim champ who's killing people in a minute. Stop bringing up Pereira right now, you idiot. But Jon Jones says he might give us what he wants and then instantly turns his back in his post-fight interview and says, no, I'm not fighting Tom. So I don't know what's going to happen with Jones, but hopefully he takes the fucking Tom Aspinall fight, which is the fight that everybody wants to see, and everybody thinks he's ducking, and he is ducking because he knows he'll lose. And after that performance, he loses clearly to Tom Aspinall. There's a 20% chance he wins, in my opinion. 20. He is not that guy. Not anymore. That was not a heavyweight champ fight. I rewatched Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades is throwing faster and harder than Jon Jones and Stipe, both of them. Probably both of them combined. Curtis Blades is. Tom Aspinall got Curtis out in a minute. Tom Aspinall, I'm glazing hard, but it's deserved. How can it not be? He is a monster. He's quick as fuck, and he comes from a jiu-jitsu background. He is, from the striking defense I saw from Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall kills him in under 2 minutes, I think. He definitely kills Stipe in under a minute. He kills Jon Jones in under 2. I don't think Jon Jones would be able to, he definitely wouldn't be able to fucking trip him like he did Stipe. If he went for a takedown, took him down, hit elbows, I'm confident enough that Tom Aspinall has enough grit in him to a degree to survive at least a first. And then after that, I don't trust Jon Jones' physicality in any way after the first round at this point in his career. I don't. So, yeah, I think that Jon Jones would get shit on by Tom Aspinall. I think that's definitely the fight to make next. At this point, after that performance, I could see Pereira beating him with chopping leg kicks. All he has to do is survive the first round. That's a big ask against Jon Jones. I do recognize that. Jon Jones is lethal on the ground, very good jiu-jitsu, very lethal ground and pound, but all you have to do is survive that first round, in my opinion. And I think Pereira could start dismantling him by the leg and start catching him when he overextends with his shots. It'll be harder with his reach, with Jon Jones's crazy reach. But these guys at the top of their divisions right now, I think they're just levels above Jon in the upper weight classes. Right now in his career. Prime Jones, different story maybe. But how Jones looked like in that fight, I think it makes sense for him to duck Aspinall. Because I think he gets shit on. But yeah, that was this card in a nutshell. It was not a good card. It was lame. Lame card overall, to be honest. The Jon Jones really saved the card with anything fun at the very end there. But the fight itself was lame, but the finish was sick. Everything else was low-key kind of lame. The 5th round of Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler was fun. The first minute of every round in Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler was fun. Rufy had some fun moments. Otherwise, this shit was lame. Prelims had some cool fights, but kind of a shit pay-per-view. Kind of might be the worst of the year, to be honest. We went from possible best to the worst. So, yeah. We'll get better, though. And, yeah. I think that's about it. I'll see you soon.